Hello, everyone, and welcome to our session today, Automate to Engage, Cultivating Donor Relationships Through Workflow Automation. We have a lot of people pouring into the Zoom room, so we're going to give you a chance to join, and then we will get started. If you are just joining us, please make sure you enter your name, let us know where you're joining from in that chat box so we can make sure we see who we have on and say hello to you. Thank you, everyone. We'll begin shortly. All right, well, we are at the top of the hour, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. If you are joining us right now, please make sure you utilize our chat box to drop your name, where you're from, so we can see who we have on and say hello to you. We will be recording today's session, so no need to take notes. You're going to get a copy of the PowerPoint deck and a recorded version of the live session, so you can share it out with your team and come back to it for your reference. So let's get started. Welcome to Automate to Engage, Cultivating Donor Relationships Through Workflow Automation. All right, to give a brief overview of today, what we'll be covering, we're going to introduce our fantastic panel that you see here. Then we're going to hear a little bit from you. We're going to discuss who Arreva is, some of the biggest challenges nonprofits are facing today, some ideas and strategies for how to increase donor acquisition, build lasting relationships, and increase retention. And then we're going to go through questions and answers. If at any time during the session you have any kind of questions, please make sure to enter them into the Q&A box. We can keep track of all the questions that come in that way, or utilize the chat box as well too. All right, so to introduce our panel, I'll get started. We have Dennis McCool, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Cynergy Group. How are you today, Dennis?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Great. We also have David Blyer, who is the co-founder and CEO of Arreva. Thanks for being here today, David.
Hey, thank you very much for putting this all together. And I want to first, I'll thank the audience later, but I just want to thank Dennis and Chris for participating in this really wonderful opportunity to present all of these new and exciting opportunities for the audiences out there. Thanks, Gabby.
Awesome. And then we have Chris Fink, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Arreva. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Gabby. Gabby, thanks for coordinating all of this and making this webinar happen. And thanks, Dennis, for joining us today. Thank you, David.
Of course, it's going to be great. And I'm Gabriella Slemy. I'm the Director of Marketing at Arreva, and I'll be your moderator for today.
Thanks.
All right, so to go ahead and get started, you're going to see a poll pop up on your screen. Sorry, 1 second. There we go. So we want to know, are you pleased with your donor acquisition, retention, and donor engagement? A lot of nonprofits struggle with these challenges on the daily. So we're going to be providing a lot of solutions today for how you can increase donor acquisition, retention, and engagement through workflow automation and utilizing an integrated solution. So we're going to give you some good strategies for best practices, and we'll see what we can do to help everybody out that's on the call. All right. So these are interesting results. I'm going to go ahead and share them now. So an overwhelming majority of you are not pleased with your donor retention, acquisition, and engagement, 96%. 4% of you are pleased. That's great to hear. You're in the right place. We know nonprofits struggle with this constantly, so we're going to give you guys some great tools and examples that you can use today. All right, and then our next poll we're going to launch is, how many solutions are you currently using to manage donor activity? And what we mean by donor activity is anything from online donations, recurring giving, tribute gifts, peer-to-peer, team fundraising, text-based donations, event, volunteers, grants, memberships, campaigns, and auctions. So how many different solutions do you use to manage all of those individual donor activities? And we have a few choices. We capped it out of 5 or more, but we'd be interested to see what everyone has to say. All right, I'll go ahead and share my results. So it's kind of evenly spread with no one using 4, but everyone kind of using 1, 2, 3, or 5 or more. It's very common for us to see organizations using 5 or more solutions to manage their donor activities. So that's great to see. All right, and then our next question, would you like for all solutions to be completely integrated? So some of you mentioned you're using multiple solutions to manage all those donor activities. Do you think it would be beneficial for you to be able to manage all of those in one place? So not having to move data around from different solutions. All right, and the majority of you said yes, that it would be beneficial to you to save some time by having an integrated database. And then we have one more question for you. Back to that point of integration, are your staff spending time moving data from separate siloed solutions into one place? Is that a common practice in their day-to-day? Maybe, you have one person that's responsible for moving data around. We see that a lot where it's one person's entire job just to move data from solution to solution. Maybe you're not sure, and that's okay too. It might be something to ask your team about their daily operations and things like that. And that's going to help us. This question helps us to see what your pain points are so we can make sure we tackle them in the presentation. All right, so the majority of you are spending time moving that data around, 72%, which is really interesting to see. Some of you are unsure, and that's okay. And then 22% are not having to move data around. All right, well, those were all the questions that I had for right now. So now I'll go ahead and pass this over to our panel.
All right, thanks, Gabby. Yeah, I don't want to start this conversation being too doom and gloom, but I do want to be honest about the challenges that are facing nonprofits currently. A lot of these statistics I'm going to rattle off came from a report that's done annually by Giving USA. It's a great organization. In fact, David did a discussion with the executive director of Giving USA, right, Gabby? And it's a recorded webinar. So others, if you want more insights on some of these statistics and the work that they do and the state of fundraising currently in the US, you should check that out. It's on our website. But anyway, there are real challenges around donor acquisition and retention. 45% donor retention is the average rate. It's not great. You really should have a higher retention rate than that. Hopefully some of you do. And you do have to make a conscious effort to really change that and affect that in a real way to increase your donor retention. It's a lot cheaper for an organization to keep a donor than it is to acquire one, right? So it's important to keep those retention rates high. 19% of first-time donors give again the following year. That just feeds right into those retention stats. It's too low, right? How do you keep donors engaged, keep them giving year to year? We'll talk about that. 53% of nonprofits say donor acquisition is one of their biggest challenges, one of their top 3. We get it. We hear it. David and I are speaking to many nonprofits every single week about this. You're all feeling it, so we understand it. So we're going to talk a little bit more about donor acquisition as well. 4.7%, that's a decline in charitable giving dollars in 2023, adjusted for inflation. I mean, actually, total dollars in giving has gone up slightly in 2024, but the problem is that the number of people actually giving those dollars is declining. So that is not necessarily, so it's good. We're getting, there's more money that's being given, but the number of people of giving is shrinking. So that means that pie out there is getting smaller and smaller. There's fewer slices to go around, so to speak. And that's where donor acquisition and retention is key, right? And then 67% of individuals made up charitable giving in the US. And that is shrinking, unfortunately. The number of individuals that are giving, just like I mentioned earlier, is going down. So how do you acquire those individual donors? And a healthy individual donor base, as we all know, is key to a healthy organization. You don't want to be too reliant on government money, on grants, on corporate money, because those could be fickle, right? So how do you get those individual donations up? And through that is obviously concentrating on donor acquisition, donor engagement, donor retention, right? David, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think you brought up one good point. I think it's important when you were mentioning the money's out there, but less is coming in an aspect of it and the way they're seeing it. And part of that giving report that we all looked at, it wasn't so much that they were giving, an individual is giving less, they're actually giving more. But the challenge is that, and we'll talk a little bit on the next slide about technology, you could think about it that way, and what's happening out there. And because there's so many different opportunities out there, I'll say it this way, you know, we're all talking about donor acquisition, we're all talking about retention, we're all talking about engagement. But when you have siloed applications, which we call point solutions, and you have limited integration, you have limited automation, you know, first of all, what's happening on that side of it? It's not that the solutions are bad, because they're not. It's the time that you're moving that data around. That's the first thing, right? The other thing is when you think about the costly to manage and train and maintain these disparate systems, it's also causing some things within the industry as a whole. And when you're moving data around, when you have limited integration, you know, and we live on both sides of the house, Chris, right? I mean, you know, we're part of a vendor community and selling software out there. We're also part of the donor community in giving, right? We're registering for events, we're giving donations, we may be pledging money for certain causes that we really believe in. But when we are doing that on the other side and we are moving that data around, and then what is that causing? What is, you know, first of all, if you think about it from an administrative side, you know, we just left a great organization and the development director said, I'm spending 40% of my time on the administrative side because it is not automated. And that 40% of my time isn't so much the salary that is being allocated to that, but 40% of my time is being lost to do the job that I really need to do. And that is when you're moving that data around, when it's not integrated, you have to print out or segment out your database. You're limiting that communications between the donors and the organization themselves, right? Meaning that that donor is not always having the most consistent experience that could be great. And I'll share with you what I mean by that. But if you're not responding, and the statistics are out there today, if you're not responding within 48 hours to 72, and I know that may scare some of you, and you know, you do your best out there, we know that. But when you're printing out that list and you're calling somebody 3 weeks later, or a month later, or 2 months later, because you just can't get to it, and you finally got to them and you feel good about that you got that off your checklist, they're sitting on the other side saying, I can't believe it took this long to give a donation. And that return could be that next year when I decide to give a donation or do something else from a financial perspective, I may give half back to you, but I'm going to take that dollar that I was giving originally to you, and I'm going to give the other half to somebody else, or I may leave, right, and give it to somebody else that I'm hoping that would acknowledge me, because people do want to get acknowledgement. And I think those are just some of the things that are going on when you have so many different applications. And when you look at that statistics of almost over 60% are using more than one application and 69% aren't completely integrated, these are the things that, I'm not saying that's the only reason, but these are some of the things that are causing these issues that are happening, whether it's a decline in donor acquisition, acknowledgement, if you're not, you know, getting them fast enough. And this is why you may not necessarily be retaining, not to the extent that they left you, but retaining as much. So it's a combination of all of that. And we will talk about some ideas on these fronts, but this is what we're seeing. This is what the reports are telling us. You know, and I'm not saying that this is happening to all of you out there, but this is a concern on all fronts.
I'd like to add to that too, David, and kind of giving a real life example of what you're speaking about. Currently, we're working with a current nonprofit that resides here in the New Jersey area, no names, but due to a series of setbacks, they have been in business, the nonprofit business, for over 25 years, but this year they found themselves in a budget shortfall of about 25%. And upon kind of digging deeper as to find out why do they find themselves in this kind of conundrum, we realized that it was really came down to three key factors. One was the lack of staffing and volunteers to be able to help out in the area of assisting with fundraising. Two, a disjointed approach to their marketing and their funding campaigns, whether it's through for whether it's over grants or whether that's through private donors. They did not have a one systemized approach or software. They actually were operating with 4 or 5 different types of software, and not using any one of those well. And then the last was just simply not having the support or the knowledge to know how to kind of pull themselves back from the brink. So in the result, they end up finding themselves in a major, major budget shortfall for the year. So this is real. This can happen. They were successful for 25 years. And in their 26th year, after their gala last year, they found themselves in this type of situation. But I'm glad you all are part of this conversation today. There is an answer for them as well as an answer for you if you find yourself in the same situation.
Thanks, Dennis. That's great.
Dennis, did you have anything you wanted to add in here on this slide at all?
Yes, there's several key reasons, several challenges that we just spoke about in terms of why, some nonprofits really struggle with acquisition, retention, and engagement. Some of the main key challenges we see here, they struggle with fragmented donor data, leading to inaccuracies or inefficiencies in managing relationships. Oftentimes, data could be only housed on Excel spreadsheets, and you don't have the automated process to keep that data up to date at all times. So it limits your opportunities to be able to further market. Time-consuming donations, processing inconsistent tax receipts, distribution results in donor frustration and an administrative burden. How many times I've worked with organizations, they're able to send out and be successful in their giving to the organization, but then in terms of their response to the donors, whether in thank you or whether or not in sending those receipts via email or by mail, they struggle with sending out those tax receipts based on the giving of those individuals. Lack of automated tools that lead to misleading times and targeted communication opportunities. This is really, really important because it's the tools that you really can utilize to target your communication through email or through print, as you're going to do through mail. Again, doing that today in an era where many nonprofits struggle with having adequate staff and adequate volunteers, having it done automated without you having to, as the old saying, set it and forget it. These are the tools that are there and most of the technologies that are out there today that most nonprofits do not take advantage of. Managing registrations, tickets, and follow-ups. Again, most nonprofits struggle with, you want to have fundraisers, you want to have things that you can invite the public to raise more support and awareness of the cause that your mission is based out of. But again, doing those type of galas or type of fundraisers come with a lot of stress, come with a lot of work. And sometimes often, even though you may have some results, it seems like the results aren't worth the amount of effort that you've put out. Again, that's another challenge that they have. And another one, integrated reporting tools to analyze donor behavior. This is something that most companies struggle with in terms of really determining how successful those campaigns were. Even though it may be something that you've done traditionally, at the end of the day, you want to know whether or not you've been successful and you've been able to reach your targets. And what are those things that we could possibly change so that when you maybe perform that function next year, it has become more optimized and become successful. And again, complex reoccurring giving process, the lack of automated reminders, which also hinder retention and long-term donor relationships. Again, are we working with the current list that you currently have? And how often are you re-engaging with that current list to keep them up to date on the activities and the successes of your organization? And again, it's often great to go after new donors, to go after new individuals who would like to be able to support your organization. But again, sometimes you're sitting on a gold mine of existing list of individuals who have been supporting you through the years and would love to be able to support you even more. But with, again, more automated communication will allow you to basically be able to reach out to them without, again, putting more burden on your current staff and responsibilities on a day-to-day basis. So these are some of the things that we've seen as a challenge to most nonprofits.
Hey, and Dennis, you're on a flow about some of these issues, and I think you could continue doing this about the obstacles.
Not a problem at all. Overcoming these obstacles with technology and with workflow automation, as we see here, can provide efficient, scalable solutions to streamline operations and enhance nonprofit impact. Yes, workflow automation, we hear the term often, sometimes bannered about. We hear so much about AI and hear so much about automation. But again, the secret to the success of automation, again, is to be able to really reduce your time, reduce the labor that it takes to do something, ultimately reducing your costs. And so, again, being able to do things in a workflow automation allows you to automate certain tasks that are just done manually, that you have to, that we all dread often, but allowing the software and that to be able to utilize its intelligence to be able to do these things for you automatically. Again, back to set it and then forget it. Once those things are set in play, then you or your staff do not have to engage in those activities. The software will do the work for you.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to take this on. I think that, a key component to identifying, acquiring, engaging, retaining your donors is the data that you keep, and leveraging that data. It's a biggie. It's really why we're talking today. So, and a powerful and fully integrated, we call it donor relationship management system, DRM. Some people call it CRM, but having something like that is key to a strong donor acquisition, engagement, retention strategy, right? I mean, tracking constituent engagement in as few data silos as possible, or hopefully one single system if you can. It's just going to allow you to better understand how to approach your donors and prospects, as well as evaluate the effectiveness of your fundraising efforts, right? I mean, so researching and defining your target audience, make sure you're tracking the engagement of your constituents so that you can leverage that data. David and I see way too many organizations who just simply aren't tracking the ways constituents are engaged with their organization. And if they are, the data is siloed and it makes it impossible to segment across all those data silos easily. I mean, how many of you had to cobble together a mailing list from 3 or 4 or 5 different sources to get that full picture of your constituents and get a segmented list, and so you can send out a solicitation? It's too common, and it doesn't need to be, right? And you can also use data outside of your own. We partner with a company called Donor Search, which they can augment the data that you have, and we're fully integrated. It's very easy to use and get their data into our database, into our solution to enhance the data and get more information about, oh gosh, there's all types of data they can give you back that's going to help you understand and better segment and know who your donors are and what their affinity is to your cause, and particularly how much they might be able to give you, right? And I'll talk about that in a little bit too. But really, that data analysis and segmentation is key to crafting more targeted outreach, right? And anytime you segment supporters or potential supporters, it opens up that door for a deeper personalization and increased emotional connection with them, right? And that's because when you're speaking to that specific group rather than the entire audience, right, your tailored message is more likely to resonate. It's just as simple as that, right? So what are some segments to consider? I mean, you could look at, the most classic is RFM, recency, frequency, and the monetary value of the donations they've given you in the past, right? You should have a system that allows you to look at, how often is someone giving to you, and what are the sizes, what's their total giving? Are they giving consistently year to year? Have they given, only 2 times over the past 5 years? So how much, et cetera? You should be able to slice and dice your data very easily in your existing fundraising system, assuming you have one like that, right? But there's other data too that you can get out of that. Tracking relationships with other donors and prospects and board members. Does your system allow you to do that? There's so many people that have relationships just sitting in there in their heads as institutional memory, and you should have it documented in your database, right? How can you gauge the affinity for your cause, and why are they giving you money? Sometimes that's hard to tease out, but you can do that through surveys and other ways. In fact, there's also that partner I just mentioned, Donor Search. They even have a search tool that allows you to go in and say, hey, I want people who, are within this geographic region that have an affinity towards giving to animal welfare organizations, and you can get a list of prospects that you can solicit from them based off of that segmentation as well. So there's other tools out there to help you. And what are there's other philanthropic indicators. Are they on the board of other organizations that may connote an affinity for your organization? Do they have volunteer history with you? Are you keeping track of that? Is that in the same database as well? So anyway,
Chris,
yeah,
oh,
go.
just quickly, we did have a question. Does this software integrate with Salesforce, or is it meant to replace existing CRMs?
It will replace existing CRMs. Yes, that's not to say we don't have people that do use it in more limited ways, but yes, in general, we get many people coming from Salesforce moving to us and other CRM platforms. Yeah. And it's not just CRM, but it's the complete online fundraising platform as well. That's completely integrated with the CRM platform. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it was a great question, Chris. I think adding to that, it should never be a comparison of an apples to apples, replacing one CRM for another. I think there's a lot of good reasons when you think about that. And the answer is whether you have, if you're using a campaign management, if you're using an event management, if you're using a team fundraising application, if you're using an event application, if you're using a text-based solution, we'll talk a little bit more about that. On all of those are still what we would consider disparate systems that you're still moving data. So when you're really thinking about that level of technology, it's not an apples to apples. You've really got to look at, and we said earlier on that poll, how many applications are you using? And if you could take all of those different applications, and we don't know which those were, but when you really think about that and combine that into one unified database, that's not only allowing you, what Chris is saying is on that segmentation, but really being able to use that and keep within one system and email to different channels and segment out in different ways and streamlining your operations. And what Dennis mentioned earlier about automation, right? That's really what we're talking about, workflow automation, making it easier, getting back to those constituents a lot faster in many, many different ways. So I think when you're thinking about this, it's just not, is it a replacement for Salesforce? It's what other applications were you using with Salesforce? Is it providing you that opportunity for that immediate response that's going to help you with that donor, that a new potential donor? Is it going to help you with that retaining that existing donor because you're getting back to them faster? So I think it's a lot in that aspect of that answer. So I appreciate that, Chris. Thanks.
No, I think to put a finer point on what you're saying in practical terms and to kind of to talk a little bit about bullet 3 here, generating tailored reports and real-time analytics. I mean, the beauty of having, let's say, moving to a fully integrated platform like ours that was purpose-built, unlike Salesforce, for nonprofit organizations, is that you can set up a donation page with our solution. Someone can give through your donate now page. That they get, as soon as they give, they get an automatic thank you from our platform that's completely customized by you. And that gift also gets automatically brought right into the donor's relationship management, the CRM. The staff gets notified immediately too on any submissions automatically. You could set up reports in our system that can be scheduled to run so they've already got a thank you, but if you could set up a report in our system that will automatically go to your executive director every Monday of anyone who's given, let's say, $200 or more, and it'll be a list with their contact information so that your executive director can reach out to them that Monday saying, hey, thanks, right away, right after they gave the prior week, just personally thanking them for that larger gift, which talks right to them about the automation piece and the engagement piece, keeping them engaged, making them feel appreciated, just getting out thank yous, and especially personalized thank you like that to the larger donors. I can't tell you how often that does not occur, and it is shocking because that is why the retention rates are so low. So that is truly trying to really give you a really solid example of how a solution like ours can really help you through automation and through having an integrated system really deal with your retention and engagement and your acquisition. But anyway, Dennis, I'm not sure if you wanted to speak at all about this slide, or I'm just going to give you a chance here. If you want to.
No, I think Chris, you pretty much have kind of said it all with regards to especially the point in terms of the analytics that you're going to get on the back end to kind of give you guidance, including the dashboards as well, that will hopefully tell the story of your campaigns.
Okay.
Before we move on, Chris, there is one question that's pretty interesting. We know how many great software platforms are out there in the industry, but this question comes from Daniel, and he says, this is the 5th software demo I've been a part of, and all of them wow me truly. But how do I kick the tires? What are the critical questions I should ask before adopting your software as opposed to Auxilia, Bonterra, etc.?
Woo, that's a whole nother webinar. But David, I don't know if you want to speak to it, but also real quickly, I mean, I'll admit that it's great that you're attending our webinar today to learn more about our solutions, particularly. Although we're trying not to be too vendor specific here in our presentation, so it benefits everyone here, no matter what solution you're using, right? And there are some solutions out there that are going to work better for one organization versus another. We all have some certain verticals within the nonprofit world that we are stronger in. I think our solution does work across a very broad swath of organizations, both size and type. So I don't want to limit us, but I do think it really is the most important thing for you to do isn't to go out and look to find the tool that's going to solve all your problems. What you need to do is identify your own issues. What are your pain points? What are you trying to accomplish? What data do you need to keep track of? What reports do you want to get out of the system? What type of solicitations are you going to be doing? What kind of data pulls are you going to need to get reports for your board, to send out your annual solicitation, to run your galas? What are all the things that you're going to be doing on the fundraising side and on the constituent management side? Do you need to manage your donors? Do you have memberships that you need to keep track of? Do you have a major capital campaign that you're coming up on that you need to manage and track solicitors and their goals? Do you have events that you're managing and running? All of that you need to assess and write down and document and get a committee together within your organization if it's big enough, and really hash out what your needs are. Then start looking for solutions that are going to meet your needs. Don't just go out there and just start looking and go for the shiny toy, because that's not going to work. David, I don't know if you want to speak to that at all.
Yeah, I'm going to make it simple. Chris, you hit on so many wonderful things. Daniel, and if anybody else wants this, we work with a lot of consultants out there like Dennis. And when you're looking at that, I'm just going to capitalize on one thing. Look at every single application, first of all, that you're using. Try and compare it to others of what you heard, simple things. On your online donations, as an example, does your tribute gifts allow you to actually allow the constituent to put the individual's name in, put a sentiment in there, and when you click submit, you know that they're getting that acknowledgement? When you really think about the things, and you may not know all the questions to ask, so I'm going to answer it this way instead of spending any more time on this, and I think it's a great question. If you send me your email, anybody here, I will send you a list of questions that you should ask any vendor, and how they would respond to you. I love doing this. I want to help each and every one of you, whether you went with Arreva or not. We're here for the good things. Daniel will copy that, and I will send you the questionnaire for you. And anybody else that wants a questionnaire that's evaluating, I will send it to you as well. And it's unsolicited. Please understand, it's not specific to anything. Okay. Thanks, Chris.
Awesome. Thank
Dennis,
you.
did you want to speak to that at all, or?
I did. I appreciated the question from Daniel, and one of the reasons why I'm on this call is because I am not Arreva in terms of I am with the Cynergy Group. We, in our research and trying to help one of our clients in looking for a solution, again, they had a solution there that they were not satisfied with. And again, there are many solutions out there in the marketplace. And so we decided to do some research for our client to find out what solution best met their needs. So we embarked upon this project for them, and we looked at over 20 different applications out there in the nonprofit world. And we did a comparison. We actually put together a chart for them on every feature in terms of and its cost, and kind of presented to our client, here are the choices that were there. But one thing in the process jumped off the page was Arreva to ourselves. We have a long history of working with many software vendors. We're Microsoft and Salesforce partners, and we've been working in the software industry for a number of years. And oftentimes you see a lot of products come and go. But when I got a chance to really evaluate Arreva's product, I was really impressed by it. But what morally impressed me about it was not just the software and its features, because there were very few applications that covered all the features that they had, very few. But what I was more impressed with was the team, David and Chris, and the entire team there. The level of support they were providing for me to provide answers to my clients was again very impressive. And it wasn't a one-time thing. All of my engagements with them have been simply fantastic. You often don't get that from other software companies where you get your response to them and your communication is through email or chat, but you have to wait for an answer to come back. But they were provided great support in ensuring that I had all the questions answered. And it got to the point where we said ourselves, boy, this is a great product. We would like to recommend to all of our nonprofit clients because we thought this would be a good fit for them. Just not in terms of what its capabilities are, but because we know they will get the level of support that we know organizations need, that once that software is up and running, you're going to have a slew of questions of what to do next, or you need assistance in this. And we realized working with their team, they are on point. And so based just on that alone, beyond the great features of the application that I was highly impressed by, it caused this marriage between both Cynergy as well as Arreva and offering to our clients this solution. And so to those who are on this call today, that's been our experience with the software platform. And that's why we're here today, more so as a testimonial to the software and its capabilities.
By the way, that advertisement was unsolicited, group. I just want you to know that. It was not planned that way. I just got to share that with you. It was, for me, sitting here, it was overwhelming, Dennis, but I can't thank you enough, but I want to make sure that you're getting the right information in this information, Dennis. And that was really, I appreciate that because I know you did a very heavy evaluation for one of your national clients, and it's great that you had that outcome. So with that, I'm going to continue on the segmentation. Chris, if you could jump into this with Dennis, I think the segmentation part is an additional really stronghold on what they could do to continue retaining those clients and increasing donor acquisition.
Thank you. Yeah, no, we'll keep these slides going. Likewise for you, Dennis. I think you're an amazing consultant. So it's great to work with you. All right. Knowing and understanding your donors, this is really just dovetailing with the prior slide about what we talked about why donor segmentation is important, and being targeted in your communication is essential instead of just sending out one generic solicitation to all of, to everybody, tracking engagement, allowing you to, pick from predefined segments, categorizing your constituents, your donors. It really, and having a solution that's going to allow you to do that is really going to help your outreach resonate more, right? Instead of just, like I said, sending out a generic thank you for every gift that someone gives, right? You shouldn't be doing that. You should be making sure that you've got tailored communications for when someone gives a tribute gift versus, versus a gift to support your capital campaign versus a $10 donation versus a $10,000 donation, right? And then measuring measuring the feedback and how your donors feel about you. How do you get that information from them? I've seen people do surveys to volunteers and to even their general constituents, their donors, after events, gaining insight into them, and making sure that that there is an alignment there, right? And that they stay aligned and they understand why they're giving, and that you better understand why they're giving to you, right? So that you can that helps you tailor your communications out to them as well. And then I'm going to harp on this just because I work on the support side with our clients quite a bit. And one of the biggest issues I see with all of our nonprofits that come to us is the state of their data. It's a mess. It's been through 10 different hands managing it. It's not reliable. And they can't rely on it to do anything, report on it, to do segmentations, to send out solicitations, et cetera. So have a procedure, write down how data should go into your system and how you get it out, document it, create a procedures manual, please, even if it's 1 or 2 pages, and have someone who owns the database and owns your data and protects it and keeps it clean. And that will make everything else much easier in your life, right? And then donor stewardship and relationship building, right? I talked about it earlier. Tracking the relationships. I mean, a lot of this information about who's related to whom and why is just sitting in people's heads. Have a solution that can track relationships. And because those relationships can lead to major donors, gifts, right? And the linkages between your board and or staff and other donors to other people that could have an affinity to give is huge, right? Especially if you're doing capital campaigns, something like that. But anyway, I don't know if Dennis or David have anything to say about that slide. If not, we'll just keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I guess the only thing in terms of centralized data, which can never be stressed enough, again, the question is, where's your data being housed? If most of your data is on Excel spreadsheets, we know how problematic that can be. And if you're using too many software applications, generally with the rule of thumb, more than 4, then again, that can also be problematic. So again, having a centralized solution to keep all your data in one house aids in your ability to be better organized and more efficient in analyzation and distribution of data, for yourself as well as to your team.
Yeah, and as we're talking about data segmentation, and you really have different audiences, and having a system that really allows you got to think, what are you using that data for? And I think we're going to talk a few other things about communicating that data, right? So how do you live in a world that you're competing with so many other nonprofits, whether it's in your community or a national perspective. So what does it mean to communicate your story with impact? And I think that's really what's really important. You've got to define your organization in a different and unique way in one powerful sentence. It can't be long. People don't want to read long things anymore. They just don't. We don't have that time, and you've got to figure out what that unique impact is. And if you really start thinking about it, it's not one size fits all. So when you're thinking about segmenting out that data, you can break it down into whether it's geography, whether it's age groups, whether it's gender, it doesn't matter, but think about it, because it's not one size that fits all. Explain why your cause stands out and deserves support from others. You've got to do that. It's so relevant. I mean, and we live this every single day. So I know we have different audiences, and we need to stand out in different ways. And then you've got to highlight truly the tangible changes a donor's contribution, a donor is contributing, and what it creates to the rest of the world. I mean, you've got to share that stuff. Coming up with compelling stories. Everybody is talking about storytelling today, but what is your story, right? Share that authentic, that personal story that demonstrates your mission in an actionable way. I mean, I could go and share a lot of different things. I love a couple of examples. We put up here one of the Boys and Girls Clubs of, I think it's Boys and Girls Club of Greater Salt Lake City. A lot of the things that they're doing, one of the things that were relevant to them in their storytelling was to highlight what's going on within their organization. They wanted to share how many meals that they were serving, how many staff members they were training. It was really important right there on their website. And we put that there. So it resonated. And whether they were sending out an email marketing campaign to certain types of groups and bringing it back, maybe they led them to other areas within their website. Highlight the before and after, show the transformation and the power that their donations are supporting in a very different way. We talk about visual content, and I'm trying to do this a little bit faster because I know we're limited with time. We have a lot of great information, but leveraging high quality videos, images, infographics, tell your story in a very visual way. I mean, it's just a lot easier to do this. And then truly, when we talk about targeted email campaigns and social media posts, you've got to resonate with every single audience. I will repeat this always. Not one story fits everybody, and you've got to identify that. And I think going back to understanding the segmentation within your database is going to help a lot with that. So those are just some of the ways of that story that can impact. 61% of donors worldwide, believe it or not, this is statistics, prefer to give online. So you really have to think about your online presence. Building and engaging multiple channel presence. I mean, what do we mean by that? We talk about user-friendly. I mean, we talk a lot about websites today, and it's not websites as a website anymore. You've got to think about, from a nonprofit perspective, what we would call a donor-centric website. You know, it's easy for the donors going on. It's one click away. I've got a lot of different examples. I think, sorry, please, I got a question, please, on the vetting questions.
Oh, just another email for us to send those questions to. So I'll take it down and make sure you get those.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, it just popped up on the screen, and I want to address it because I know we're limited with time. But when you're thinking about it, you could be sending, and when you're thinking about this and segmenting out your database, maybe there's one message that you're going to send out to a certain group that's going to go to an email campaign. Maybe another type of message or similar message is going to go out to social media. So you want to have different methods that you're communicating, and that's what we mean by different presence. Making giving easy. I mean, when we talk about giving easy, we don't just talk about how they're coming in, but we talk about, is that online donation page user-friendly? What does that mean? I have seen so many different variations, which I love, because you may have a denomination. I've seen what we call unlimited donation pages, meaning, or the impact. On a donation page alone, if you think about it, you have certain denominations, $10, $25. I've seen some amazing donation pages that say, for $10, that $10 is going to help with a welcome bag. $25 is going to help with a warm shower. $2,500 is going to help underwrite the cost of whatever that expense is on a monthly basis. Giving, I want to know, so it's not only about giving, it's about that impact that I'm providing. There's so many other ways when you're writing peer-to-peer fundraising pages, and peer-to-peer could be used in so many different ways. It could be a sense of urgency. It could be driving donor acquisition in a different way. It could be donor retention and reminding of your existing donor database. There's a lot of different ways. Communicating and giving easy through text-based donations. So you want to make sure the processes are mobile friendly. You want to make sure they're integrated. You want to make sure that they're very consistent. A clear call to action. I always talk about that. Where is your call to action? It has to be eye-catching, whether it's in the donation page immediately, how it links across all platforms. When we're talking about these little things, even on a website, and I want to just share this with you. If anybody that is going to your website today and is giving a donation and they're being pushed off onto a vendor's URL, it's not helping you. You want to have a website with all of your applications, and when they do anything and they click submit on a user-friendly basis, you want to make sure that they're staying on your website. And why is that important? A number of reasons. It's called site engagement. You want people staying on that website. If any of you use Facebook, when you're using Facebook, you never leave Facebook till you decide to leave. Your website should be built the exact same way with all the applications that are integrated, and you will see site engagement. Because I know when we're pushed off of a website, I leave, right? Because it's not always easy. So just think about streamlining all of those different processes.
Okay, I'm going to start this one. Multiple ways to give. And this goes back to what David was just talking about too, encouraging people to be able to give based on how they want to give, support your organization, right? Not just having a single donation page, but can they give in memory and honor of someone? And or in this case, with recurring giving, allowing people to easily become a recurring donor while they're giving. So for example, with our donation pages, it's very easy to insert a checkbox in your standard donate now page to say, hey, I'd like to be a recurring donor. They just check the box, they put in, you know, hey, the frequency, I'll give monthly and how much, and that's it. So making it easy for people to become recurring donors is important, right? I mean, there's many different ways you can market that too. With our platform, you can have a separate recurring donation form that you can send people to start to become recurring donors. It's such a great way also to maintain donor retention without to almost no work from you. You know, so if someone signs up as a recurring donor on our platform, it just starts charging either their credit card or their checking account automatically. Those gifts just roll in right into the donor relationship management database automatically. There's very little to do. The thank yous go out automatically. So it's great in terms of having that recurring revenue, but also it isn't maintenance free though. I don't want you to, I mean, the churn around recurring donations is honestly too high. 10%, I think, stop after the first month, 14 after 3 months. I think it's 23% drop after 6 months. So you're losing almost 40% on average, 40% of your recurring donors with the first 6 months. And why is that? Because you're not communicating with them. You're not telling them the impact of those donations. You know, those are some of your most loyal donors that are willing to give you, let's say, $10 a month, right? So you have to keep them informed of what your organization is doing, how you're using that money, checking with them, tell them stories about what's happening and keep them connected, right? So recurring donations is something that you should if you don't have a recurring donation program, you should consider it and make sure you have a platform that can support it, right?
I also think, Chris, just to add on to that, I think the other thing about reoccurring giving, and when you're really thinking about that, you also want to acknowledge those people that are actually giving reoccurring giving, acknowledge them, make them feel special, come up with certain perks. And maybe you even posted on social media about, hey, we're promoting our monthly giving platform and we're recognizing the people. Maybe they get exclusive updates of some sort or early event access to events as being a reoccurring. Make them feel special. Not everybody that gives a donation is the same as everybody that's giving a reoccurring donation. So that maybe they're doing that every single month or every single quarter or whatever that plan is. Your system should also be set up to allow them, whether it be weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually, it doesn't matter, but acknowledge them. And I think acknowledging them is so important, of thanking them, because it's another level of acknowledgement. And when you think about acknowledgement returns to retention. So think about those things. And they're really important. There's a lot of different ideas here about engaging supporters to fundraise through networks, inspiring, monthly giving. And there's a lot of different ways. It's not just a reoccurring giving. Maybe it's a peer-to-peer fundraising event. Maybe it's leveraging reoccurring gifts, adding certain things that are allowing them with options to continue giving. So there's a lot of different things here, but what Chris also said was that whole automation process. Moving forward, I think multiple ways of giving. I think this is a really important. I just left a board member of this organization that has been there. And when you really think about 33% of donors worldwide give tribute gifts, that's a big percentage. Are they going to continue giving tribute gifts? You want to make sure that your systems are enabling and empowering the person that is giving a tribute gift, whether it's in honor of or memory of, that they know immediately that the person that they're honoring or giving a tribute gift are being acknowledged. When I mentioned earlier about a board member, this board member has, and you got to also think about tribute gifts. There's such a strong alignment, right? I mean, I'm not giving a tribute gift to somebody that's not aligned with the organization. I'm always, most of the time, giving a tribute gift that is aligned with your organization. And when you think about that, you have an opportunity to acknowledge immediately the person that's giving that tribute gift in many, many different ways. And we have some different ideas up here about online tribute walls and personal certifications that, you're providing them, like Chris mentioned earlier about, maybe you come up with a certificate that you send them, right? Living memorials. There's a lot of different ways of acknowledging them. But the most important thing, and by the way, this is another reason why I'm seeing a decline in donor acquisition, donor retention. Why? because when you send that tribute gift out, if you're not responding to the person that's receiving it, if you're not acknowledging the person that sent it, it's not going to happen continuously. And when you have 33% of donors worldwide giving tribute gifts, you want to make sure that you're acknowledging both parties in multiple different ways. So it's really important to do different things.
And I think, David, we talked to so many people too, who just, they don't even have a solution that allows them to manage and track that information, right? To capture it. Do you have a solution that can simply allow you to, number one, give either personally or also online a gift in honor and memory of someone, but then when they're giving an honor and memory of someone, they usually want the person they're giving, the family that they're giving an honor and memory to let them know. So can you track that linkage of who the notifications should go to say, hey, John Doe gave this gift in memory of your grandfather, and making that very easy with a few clicks of a button like our solution does, right? And also managing sometimes there's multiple people who want to be notified on behalf of, you have a whole list of family members who want to be notified every time someone gives in memory of their grandfather. Does your solution allow you to easily do that and have a communications template that you can just easily, with a few clicks of a button, send those notifications out to everybody monthly? I mean, that is, we have some clients who are getting hundreds of day tribute donations, and with our solution, and we make that process very easy for them and efficient, right? And to get down to back to the whole point of this conversation around automation and efficiency, right? But anyway.
Yeah. And just to end that, Chris, because I think it's important, even though you're using technology to automate that, and they're getting an acknowledgement and that, the organization, if you are getting a system that is notifying you that that constituent just gave a tribute gift to such and such, even though you know that that individual received the notification because you've automated that, right? You know that the person that gave the tribute is getting an automatic thank you acknowledgement receipt. You would now have a system that you can segment out and go in, and whether you segment out today or you're getting that immediate notification, you pick that phone call and you say hello and say, I want to thank you. That in itself is acknowledgement immediately. And those are just some suggestions. So it's not just about technology, it's also applying best practices. Yeah.
Well, and because tribute donors tend to be first-time donors anyway. So if you don't acknowledge them right away, absolutely. Yeah, it's very important. Yep.
Before we move on to the next slide, I know we're at the hour and I know a lot of you requested more information. I'm going to put a poll up on the screen to ensure that we, get that information to you. Please go ahead and, just hit yes so we can, make sure we get in touch with you after this call. If you'd like to learn more about, any of the Arreva software that you saw today, all those features and functionalities that Chris and David were sharing and Dennis spoke about are available in our platform, Exceed Further. We like to say it's the industry's only truly all-in-one donor management, online fundraising, healthcare hospitality, and auction software platform. I'll leave this poll up there. And then I'm also going to put up another poll after this that if you'd like to learn about Dennis's services, you can request more information from him as well too, and he'll be sure to get in touch with you.
And Kia, Kia just sent a question, does it integrate with double the donations? Yes, it does. So even in our fields, for organizations that don't want to purchase the double the donations, first of all, we have it fully integrated already. We don't charge you extra for that integration. You would have to buy double the donations, and it has that field. Done. If you are looking for matching gifts and you didn't want to have it automated, there's still a field in there that the individual put in the name of the company, and then the organization itself will have to do an outreach of saying such and such, here's the receipt, and you've done that. Either way has been very successful. We think double the donations is a great product, and it's made it a lot easier for receiving those double the donations as matching gifts. So great stuff. Thank you for that question.
Yeah, we just did a webinar with them, right, Gabby? And it's saved on our website if you want to watch that too. The benefits of double the donation.
Definitely. All right.
Okay, Deb, I got to go fast. All right, peer-to-peer. If anyone isn't familiar with what peer-to-peer giving is, essentially it lets individuals set up personalized fundraising pages to raise money on behalf of your organization. And it is a great way. The beauty of it is that it amplifies your, especially for donor acquisition, it allows individuals outside of your organization to amplify your fundraising efforts, right? Beyond your list of donors and prospects, because they're going to use their own list of people on Facebook or wherever to get new donors to give to your organization through their peer-to-peer giving page. So it allows your staff, board members, those board members who are too scared to go out and ask money in person, they can set up their own fundraising page here online and start asking money in a less intimidating way. You can have it support an event. You can have it support a capital campaign, whatever you want. It's very easy to spin up on with our solution, and it comes with our product, the base product. So if we have most of our clients using it to great effect. I don't know, David, I'm trying to go fast. If anything you
Yeah,
want to
no,
add, please do.
and I know there's so much information, and I wish we had more than an hour, and I don't want to lose the audience, but even still, we put up examples here like Alzheimer's Foundation that uses this, and they do a lot in combination of runs and walks. They use peer-to-peer fundraising during their fund walks. They've combined. There's a whole revelation right now on peer-to-peer fundraising and how to use it. I used Alzheimer's Foundation as an example because one of the things that they did was they gave their constituents ideas on how to use and different ways to use peer-to-peer fundraising, which I really, really liked. I mean, not everybody knows every single way. Some people are using it for a sense of urgency and they're asking their board members and active donors and volunteers to get the message out. Some organizations we've seen in peer-to-peer are just acknowledging all the services that they're providing to maybe raise a certain goal for a certain cause and using their existing donor database. Other organizations that I've seen put a focus so much on peer-to-peer fundraising. I mean, we've seen organizations that are raising millions of dollars because they're running hundreds of peer-to-peer fundraisers through their board members, their active donors, their volunteers. They have a great deal of involvement. I mean, you can really do a lot of inspiration on this. You can make competition through leaderboards. You want to do fun things with this. You want to enable them, the individuals that are creating their own pages, to post this on social media. It's another great way also on donor acquisition. I mean, it's truly amazing. And those are just some of the points. If you want to know more, I know we're short on time, but we'll move to the next slide. And team fundraising, I will share this with you. I'll start it this way. We hear about team fundraising because it's about runs or walks. Well, we use this example. Ronald McDonald House, one of the Ronald McDonald House chapters are using it, and you can look at this up. They are using the concept of team fundraising for events, and they're running all sorts of events. I think they're using 5 events right now, or every time I see them, they're using more events. They're already started in 2025. By the way, what was really nice, I looked at it before this meeting today. They've exceeded their goal in 2025, but they're using a combination of their events, team fundraising, peer-to-peer fundraising to have people sign up for the run and walk, teams to make more awareness about the event itself. They've really established themselves, and they're using the concept of running an event and using all the technology as one solution with one unified database. And they're really seeing this. There's a lot of different things on team fundraising that I've never seen before. And I'm glad, organizations are changing the way, but it's true collaboration, right? It's true competition. It's full engagement. They're making it fun. They're making it into a game. They're competing with each other. You can see maybe you have multiple locations or one location. You can see their top teams. You can see the top donors. I mean, whatever you want on your team fundraising to acknowledge the event and where their goals are and how they're achieving it. There's a lot of different ways of using team fundraiser than ever before. Where are we on this? We're trying to go really fast, so I apologize for that. I think, again, I go back into the donor acquisition, right? I mean, when you're thinking about engaging your donors all year round, how can you really do this? It's not just about events, and we talk about the different events, but It's celebrating the donors that actually helped you. It's an appreciation gala. If you're, or even if you're having an event, you know, and you can't have individual celebration for your donors, you can acknowledge your certain donors even at your certain galas. But you're engaging them. People want to be acknowledged again. We talk about that, right? Exclusive donor gatherings. I mean, if there are certain donors that you want to celebrate with, you know, and you want to recognize them, it goes back to that VIP status. It's that VIP perks. It's that exclusive invites. I know myself. I've given certain pledges, and I was treated like my pledge was no bigger or less than other people, and I know other people gave more. They made me feel important. I remember that to this day. You know, but these type of gatherings and acknowledging them in different ways, you know, engaging in impact tours. I love these organizations. I even encourage everybody, even on our staff, go visit. And I don't even care if they're not a client of ours. Go visit, get an impact tour. Maybe it's something that's important to you. Maybe, you know, Humane Society is important to you. Maybe a social service organization that's helping the youth out there that's important to you. Engage, get those tours, learn more about it. But if your donors are doing that, make them feel, get special tours. I mean, there's workshops, there's speaking engagements that, you know, some of you may have. Invite that. Maybe there's 30 minutes before the speaking engagement. So there's a lot of different things in doing these different types of events that are helping you with retention of your existing donors. I mean, you know, there's some statistics out there that I think it was 20% are referred by others, right? And people hear about these things because there's not enough about this. So just showing appreciation on different events and different ways of doing this is just some additional ideas on what you could do out there. Then we talk about acknowledgement, right? I mean, this is a big thing. Timeless is key. And I know this is a struggle for a lot of organizations. I'm not saying you're struggling out there today, but it is sending acknowledgements immediately within 48 hours. And I know it's not easy sometimes, but if you can segment out your database and you can schedule every 3 days because you're busy and allocate time, and your database allows you to segment that out, and making phone calls, splitting these calls up within your staff. I mean, listen, some organizations are all volunteer staffs. Some of them have 2 members. Some of them have a lot more. But doing that type of acknowledgement and getting back to them is so important for donor acquisition, for donor retention, for acknowledgement. It is just important. I know Chris mentioned it earlier about personalization. There's so many different ways about personalizing engagement, right? Gratitude. Everybody wants to feel gratitude for their donations. And even if it's a $10 donation, gratitude for a $10 donation, because that $10 donation could be 100,000 gift in the future. You've got to think that way. And I know, again, it's not always easy, but there's different ways of segmenting out the database and putting best practices in place to acknowledge everybody that's out there. Chris, did you want to touch on any of the other on that, or?
We'll keep it moving. Okay, good job,
for
David.
time. Yeah, you know what? We had 3 case studies, and I just, all of these different case studies, for time reasons, all of these different case studies, they all had different challenges, whether it was a financial challenge, whether it was acknowledgement challenge. I mean, and we'll do this really quickly. This was an all volunteer organization. I don't know how exactly they came up with the dollar amount, but they needed to raise $8 million for the first, what they called, the research and the physician said, if we can raise $8 million, we can help make this cure. And they used every example that they could through peer-to-peer fundraising and creating awareness, through different recurring donations, through peer-to-peer fundraising. I mean, they used a lot of different methods. They came up with very creative events. They use their entire database. They use it a lot of different ways. And I'm here to share with you, because when I say this, I get goosebumps about this. But they raised the $8 million over a number of years. They increased their donor database. And it's really, happy to say this, I wish I could take the credit. I can't. They get all the credit. They did use our technology. And the researchers and the doctors came up and made the first cure of one of the deficiencies based upon what they committed to, of raising that $8 million. That type of results is the most wonderful thing you can think about, and they're continuing doing this. This was you see a website there. They started with us, I think, 14 years ago, 12 years ago, I can't remember. And their first website was more on the aspect of fundraising website, and there's a way of doing that. They then moved to their second version of a new website, and it was still fundraising, but it was very informational, and they've gotten to that point. So we have a lot of different types of case studies, and we can run through this really quickly. The Boys and Girls Club, this was the Davy Pal. This was another really exciting one. They own the IRS money and there was a movement from the city to actually the Police Athletic League and the Police Department of Davie taking it over. I had the opportunity to walk into the facilities when they took it over. I will share with you, I wouldn't put a stray dog in that location. It was that bad. These people took it over. They had less than 6 months of operating income. They owed the IRS money. They had 20 kids in their after-school program. They had less than 50 constituents in their database. They took a risk. They put in a new executive director, which is truly amazing. He was a police officer, and the reason they gave him the job is because he was the parole car going through the schools. Okay, I don't know if there's a reason for that, but they figured, okay, you watch the schools, you might as well run this organization. This individual turned this 180 degrees. Today, they have over 500 kids in their program. They have over 5,000 active donors. They've run amazing events. I mean, they've done a lot of different things to really increase the awareness in the community. And it was a very focused community, but it was a great success story that, again, I give them all the credit, but they use technology to better themselves. And this was another great success story where you talked about, 72% of 72% is moving data, 69%, you would like a completely integrated solution. You're using more than 3 to 5 or 2 to 5 applications. This was a perfect example. Great run organization. They had many different applications in there. They were using event applications and donor relationship management applications. They were using auction applications. They were using grant applications, campaign management. They were spending a lot of money. Nothing communicated with one another. And when the new executive director came in there, who was really came from the Resource Development Center of Boys and Girls Club, consolidated everything, streamlined everything, eliminated, I think, 7 different applications, and really just it made the operation streamroll. And it was really exciting. Again, I love their website. If you haven't gone to it, we built their website. They did hire an outside marketing company. They did a wonderful job on branding guidelines, but it's very donor centric, and they've just done an amazing job. So that was just the other last thing. I love Cynergy. I love the way they do their evaluations. Dennis, I'd love for you to just talk a little bit about it from a high level perspective.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you, David. Yes, I mean, again, we love the nonprofit world. Our experiences run deep. And here are some of the things. For over 19 years, we've been working with various companies and various nonprofits, and our expertise lends us to be able to help nonprofits in these kind of 6 key areas in terms of, again, just helping out. And, again, maybe it's not be your concern, but it's the governance and, formation and governance and providing the frameworks for accountability, leadership, and sustainable growth. So the number 2 is that we really enhance and we help refine programs that can, by assessing your current initiatives and identify areas for improvement. We develop tailor-made strategies to utilizing some of your current technology as well as your current initiatives to kind of really re-promote your programs and services. We offer, again, strategic support for nonprofits, especially in the area that we're talking about today in terms of your grant success or your fundraising to reach those financial operational goals. And we also, again, we are big believers in that you can never have enough volunteers. Again, they are the lifeblood of every organization. So again, you want to not forget about that area to try to find a way to be able to enhance your volunteer participation for your organization through targeted campaigns for acquisition. And again, providing a great tool like Arreva to help manage those volunteers for your programs and services. And lastly, and again, this is what we're really focusing on today, assisting with this digital adaptation, optimization, and automation of marketing, financial management, grants, fundraising, and volunteer management. These are our 6 ways that we feel that we can really be an assistance to you. And if you're looking for additional help in any one of those given areas, or if there's areas that aren't even on this list, it may be areas that may not necessarily be our level of expertise, but we will also know of other great companies out there that can help you in those areas to do a job that we know that is very difficult to do. Here's a quick background. I've spent 10 years as a director overseeing a nonprofit, and that has given a lot of experience, and I understand the feeling of success and also the amount of pain you can have as well in trying to do a good work in the community in the area that you serve. So that experience helps us better be able to help you. And so if you need of any assistance, please reach out to us. We would love to sit down and at least have a conversation.
Thank you, Dennis.
I don't know how many know about Arreva, but we've been around for 30 years. We have over 6,000 clients. Our clients have done so many different events. The nice thing, when somebody mentioned, another vendor out there, our software was exclusively built for the nonprofit industry. We have been, not only do we have 6,000 clients, but we also have worked with many national organizations, and not just from a national perspective. We have been vetted and we are approved vendor by many, many different national organizations out there. We have many applications, and I just don't want to throw out applications out there, but these are all within one umbrella, meaning Exceed Further. And Exceed Further is truly the only all-in-one online fundraising, donor relationship management, healthcare hospitality, and auction software company. These are not individual applications. You're not moving data around anymore. The next slide is all about one unified database. So if you're looking for a solution with many applications, having one unified database, these are all Exceed Further applications, fully integrated, fully automated. This is what it's all about, and really helping with donor acquisition, donor retention, and acknowledgement. And I just want to thank you all. I know it's been a long presentation. We didn't have enough time. I think we ran over a little bit. I appreciate for the ones that stayed on for your patience. We just love doing what we do, and we're very passionate about that. So I want to thank Chris. I want to thank Dennis. I want to thank Gabby. And I want to thank you, everybody that's here today. You make us believe in everything that you do within your communities, in your states. I mean, we're very proud to support so many wonderful causes out there, and we really feel blessed that we're part of this. So, Gabby, with that, I'll pass it to you and Dennis and Chris.
Thank you, David. Yes, we're going to be in touch with everyone. I put those polls back up. If you did want to request information, we'll make sure we get in touch with you. But we do have one question for those of you that are still on. I'll ask this one. Any tips on how to routinely evaluate data for efficacy? It's a good question.
Yeah, that probably goes well beyond the time we have left here. I mean, evaluate data for efficacy. I mean, that comes down to number one, making sure you have data to evaluate. Make sure it's consistent. It goes back to the data consistency I mentioned earlier. Make sure you have a tool in place that's going to allow you to evaluate the data, report on it, slice and dice the data the way you want to do it, right? But in terms of whether it's effective or not, that can get into impact measurements, outcomes measurement, which is a whole nother realm. But maybe that's a topic for another day with another consultant, Gabby.
Yeah, that would be a great webinar to do. We definitely have to do one like that. All right, well, I don't see any more questions, and I know we are past the hour. Thank you for staying on with us. It was a pleasure getting to hear David, Chris, and Dennis present. It was really informative, and I'm sure a lot of people found this very interesting. You will be receiving a recorded copy of the webinar as well as a copy of the PowerPoint deck, so you can take these tips and implement them into your own practices. Make sure you join us on our next Arreva webinar, and we hope you all have a happy holiday and a happy new year. Thank you.